Hello, my name is Deacon Michelle Skinner from the Kingdom Kids Ministry. I co-teach along with 4 other ones. And today we have a special guest here at St. Stephen. Her name is Sonia Gray from the Exploited Children's Help Organization. Welcome to St. Stephen's.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I feel so special to be here and really to talk about such a worthy cause right now and what's happening right now.
So, can you tell us a little bit about ECHO?
Absolutely. My name is Sonia Gray, and I am the Executive Director of ECHO, which is Exploited Children's Help Organization. We evolved in 1983 due to a tragic incident that happened here in Louisville. Many Louisvillians know this. There was a 12-year-old little girl that went riding her bike over by Bashford Manor Mall, and unfortunately she did not return home, and her name was Ann Gottlieb. And through the efforts of many volunteers, police department, trying to locate Ann, we evolved as an organization. And our mission is to prevent and reduce child abuse by providing education, advocacy, and support services to the children and families of Metro Louisville.
Wow. We are glad that you are here to share with us. So this month we are working with our children, and we want to talk about our life application using social media and cyberbullying. So can you tell us a little bit about cyberbullying?
Yeah, I think that it's important that this conversation at this point in time is going to really be geared towards parents and what our responsibility is as adults. Absolutely. And so cyberbullying, as you can imagine, is bullying that is on the internet. Okay. Has some of the same effects to children, but it's just all through the internet, digital means. But you know, we are having a tremendous problem with many kids being bullied on the internet. So I hope that we have the opportunity to really talk about what we can do as adults and parents.
Okay. So can you tell us a good age that children should be on social media at all?
You know, it's really up to the parent's discretion. Mm-hmm. And as I said, once again, it is the adult's responsibility to make sure that we are monitoring what our kids are, I guess, what I would say is interacting with the digital world. Okay. So there's not like this one prime age, but if you notice, there are many apps that kids may want to be a part of, and there are age requirements. Okay. So once again, it is the responsibility of the parent, the adult, to really communicate and ask kids, you know, what their interests are as far as which apps that they are, you know, wanting to be to participate with. Now, here's the thing. Okay. Kids are not always going to tell you everything that you want to know. Okay. Yes. So, yes. So part of it is, once again, is learning how to really monitor your kids' behavior on the internet. Social media, once again, if we're talking about digital safety, internet safety, we also have to bring in cell phones. Okay. Many of our kids have cell phones. Okay. You know, and I get the question asked many times, what is a good age for a kid to have a cell phone? It's really not up to my decision. It is up to the parent's discretion, because once again, it can play into the safety of the children. Some kids may have to actually go home and not have an adult there when they arrive, but they call their parents to, you know, to confirm that they're safe. So once again, it's really about sitting down with your kids and talking about social media, but also talking about the dangers of social media as well.
So can you give us some safe apps to use?
So the greatest thing that you can utilize is Google. Mm-hmm. Apps are being developed every day. Okay. So even if I give you an app today, there may be a new one tomorrow. Okay. And some of the apps, I will say that Net Nanny, there's Life 360. Okay. Just Google what type of app is going to be the best for you and your family. Okay. Some are free at no cost, and some may have a minimal cost attached to it. But you know, it's priceless as far as how far do you want your child to be safe? And I think that we all want our kids to be safe. So it's priceless to look into those apps and really try to figure out, what do I need, the infrastructure within my home to make sure that my kids are performing healthy behaviors online, but I also have the opportunity to be able to gauge and see what they're doing as well.
What kind of red flags would I look for when I'm kind of reviewing an app to say that, okay, it's okay for my child to be on this particular app? What kind of dangers or what kind of red flags would they be looking for?
So, two-part question that you're asking me. So one that I say is knowing your kids' apps. Okay. The other one is the parental control apps, which will give you control to be able to review the apps that your kids are on. When we're talking about apps, social media, digital world, because I want to make sure that we're covering everything. Facebook, kids, they tell us it's for the old people. So I know that would be me, for one. Most of the social media apps or sites that kids are on, TikTok has been really, really big this summer. I even noticed that there was a lot of what I would say unity between parents and kids learning all the TikTok dances. And that's great. That's great to be able to share that platform and that space. But then the kids are on Instagram and Snapchat and, things of that nature. And we just want to make sure that if your kids are on these sites, it's so important to really, really go back and see what the activity has been. I can share a scenario with you, a case that we had. We had a call from a mother, and her daughter had Snapchat. And, in Snapchat, a lot of these sites will say, once it's out there, it goes away. Right. One of the main things that I really want to communicate to parents is in this world, what we call digital footprinting, any keystroke that you make is just like a fingerprint. If I was to put my hand right here, you can lift that. So anything that you type into the digital world, it never goes away. There's always a way to be able to retrieve that information, especially for people like us. We are not, we're not the forensics behind the scenes. So a lot of things that we see, there is a way behind that to be able to see all those keystrokes, once again, digital footprinting. So, it's this mother called us and her teen had an incident with Snapchat, and it was some indecent exposure that had recycled. And she reached out to us to create a safety plan for her daughter, because not only was, exposure that is traumatic to a teenager, but because of the split second that we now can send images and information, it traveled very quickly throughout her school. And so we really had to create a safety plan to make sure that mentally that she was still sound, but also what was that whole safety plan for digital media as well.
So what types of relationships should parents allow on these websites?
So if I was a parent, would I allow my child to talk to a stranger? It's the same thing on the internet, and this is what we communicate with the kids. Kids are so vulnerable. They are trustworthy. So, if you throw out a couple of little things to kids, they may actually grab onto that, but not truly knowing who is really behind that scene, who's behind that screen. We have the catfishing. You have the ability to put a picture up and act as someone else, but that's not who you truly are. So for parents, just as if a kid wanted to have a new friend and they wanted to go to their house, and you're asking who is a parent, where do they live, you're going to ask those same things as far as with kids on the internet. Who are your friends on the internet? it's amazing to me when kids say that they have over 1,500 followers, and I'm like, I don't even know 1,500 people.
Absolutely.
And there's no way that you know 1,500 people.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that we talk to the kids about is that people, if you do not know them personally from a school, from an activity, from church, then those individuals are still what we consider strangers.
Okay.
And actually what that stranger could be is a perpetrator or a predator.
Okay.
And really start grooming that child to build that trust. And so that's why it's so key and essential for parents to continue to have conversations. One of the things that I really talk about with parents, the internet is not the new babysitter. It is the worst babysitter that you can have.
Absolutely.
I know many times, we want to give small kids YouTube and let them, go to cartoon stations or channels. Once again, we have to be very careful about the channels or the avenues, because we also know, let's say for Dora Explorer, I know I'm probably way like
We're dating
out there. Yeah, I'm
ourselves.
dating myself. But it can start as easy as an innocent cartoon as Dora Explorer, and then the content is going to change. And the kids are going to be exposed to this, and they're not going to know exactly what they're looking at, what they're hearing, or anything of that nature.
Sonia, it reminds me of a biblical reference of being aware of false prophets.
Yes.
And who can, in Matthew 7:15, it says, "Be aware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravishing wolves," and that are there to be perpetrators against our children and attack our children and kind of bring them in as prey. So it is very important that our parents be vigilant in monitoring those websites, those text messages, those apps that our kids are using, because not only are they doing it at home, they can bring that inside of the school. And a lot of times we have conflict inside of the school building because of relationships that occur on apps and at home.
Absolutely.
On social media. So it does spill over, and it's important that we, the village, along with mom and dad, kind of monitor these types of activities. But parents, I must encourage you to be vigilant and be pro kid and pro safety when it comes to relationships and the activities of our kids. So what is some good tips for parents?
Yeah, and I want to go back. That is such an appropriate verse based on what we're talking about.
Right.
And if that is a way to start that conversation with your kid, as reflecting on that verse and really talking about false prophets and things that we see.
Absolutely.
The internet can be really, really a great tool for information.
Absolutely.
But it also has its dangers and pitfalls as well. And once again, like you said, it is really truly our responsibility to make sure that we are monitoring what kids are doing. So you asked me about tips, okay?
Yes.
All right. So the first tip is that sit down and have a conversation about the internet. If you're unfamiliar how to start that conversation, you can always reach out to our organization, Exploited Children's Help Organization, ECHO for short. Do your research. How do you start talking about internet safety? Number 2 is create a plan. Many times, we are not creating a plan of when it is appropriate to be on and off,
Absolutely.
on the internet. I know that it's a little difficult and challenging right now with NTI, but we still can set those plans. You made a great point about schools. I tell the schools all the time, if you all had a fight in your school, it probably started on social media, and the kids have left all kind of nuggets.
Yes.
But we have not done our due diligence to pick up those nuggets and see what's happening. So a lot of times in the school, you're trying to figure out, like, well, how did this fight even get started, you know?
Absolutely.
And a lot of times it does start on social media, that going back and forth, that cyberbullying. As I mentioned, how many likes do I have, or if a friend drops me, you know, all those types of behavior. So definitely creating some type of plan with your kids where we're going to have what I say a tune out time frame.
Absolutely.
Where kids can totally be disconnected from the internet.
Okay.
The other thing that we really know about the internet is that kids are spending an extraordinary amount of time on the internet and not doing other things that can really strike creativity, or, you know, going outside, or, you know, even having interpersonal relationships with other friends and things of that nature. Making sure you go to bed at night at an appropriate time so you can be ready for school, right?
Absolutely.
So that's another way. The other thing, as I have mentioned over and over again, is please monitor the sites, the locations that kids are going to. Even on the phone, there is your phone is nothing but a GPS, right?
Absolutely.
So if you have a kid, you can trail every place that they've ever been. But if you don't know how to do it, then, you know, you're just kind of leaving it up to your kid to be the most honest that they can be. But once again, these are other things that we can do. Reach out to your internet company and ask them, how can I set parental controls?
Excellent idea.
Yeah, how, you know, ask your cell phone provider, how can I set parental controls? How can I monitor what my kids are doing? And once again, the best thing that can ever happen is Google. You know, so Google it, parents, you know, and just ask that question, and there's going to be many things that's going to come up. And I think the other key thing is really building that trust between the parent and the child. And what I mean by that is that if the child is on the internet and they have been exposed to inappropriate behavior or pictures, or if someone is trying to communicate to them that they are unaware who they are, making sure that the kid feels safe enough that they can still have that open conversation with you. The one thing that we don't want to do is close our kids off from having that opportunity to talk to us about what is happening on the internet.
So what can community partners do in order to teach our kids in the community about cyberbullying and having healthy relationships?
Well, I know that, you know, JCPS is all about prevention of bullying of any kind, whether it's in person or if it's cyberbullying. And so I would say to parents, you know, really support your schools. Really support the initiatives that the schools are trying to do to make sure that, you know, not just your kid, but every kid is safe. This is the world that they live in. So it's nothing that is going to go away. It's nothing that we're trying to take away. But what I always tell adults is, like, we're playing that catch up thing, like, you know, they already know how to change passwords and all of that, and we're like, how did you do that? So we're playing the catch up, but it's, once again, like I said, have the kids show you types of things, you know, different things. The other thing, which is so obvious, reach out to ECHO. This is what we do. We are one of the only organizations in Louisville that actually goes into the school system, and we talk and educate and empower kids about body safety, digital safety. But we also provide presentations for parents, caregivers, grandparents, anyone that cares about kids, to be able to recognize, react, and report child abuse, whether it is a personal or whether it's digital. So you can always reach out to us as well.
Okay. So is there anything else that we didn't cover? Because internet safety is so vast. What can we do at the, or if there's an elementary school that needs your help, how do we get in contact with you?
Feel free to reach out to myself. I make myself very available. We are a very small staff, but we are mighty. So last year we empowered over 7,200 kids about body safety and digital safety. We educated over 3,600 adults here in our local area, once again, about child abuse child abuse prevention. And so elementary, middle school, high school,
Okay.
you know, you can always go to our website, which is echo.ky.org. Shoot us an email and just let us know, hey, we're interested in having you in our school.
Okay.
We can customize what may be actually happening in your school, but we do have some great curriculum that is evidence and informed based.
Okay.
Our whole goal is to make sure that all of our kids in our community can be safe as children and grow up to be healthy adults.
Okay. So not only are you working inside the school, will you go to after school programs and after school like the YMCA or the clubhouse or anything like that?
Let me tell you. What I say is anyone that will even crack the door open for me, I will
Okay.
bust through and come on through,
Well,
because I believe
that's awesome to hear.
Thank you. I believe so much in our mission as an organization. I have been in the nonprofit sector for over 15 years. In every aspect, I have always worked with children. Been a dance coach, a mentor. I actually was a big sister for over 10 years.
Wow.
And so my belief is definitely advocating for children and advocating for children's voices. But I
Absolutely.
also know that it is our responsibility as adults to make sure that we can provide them safe, healthy environments. So anyone that, you know, all I ask is, like I said, we're small, so don't call me tomorrow and say you need me Friday. Give me a little, at least have a
Absolutely.
3 weeks advance notice. But yes,
Okay.
I welcome that. We've been at the YMCA. We have been at we have done Home of the Innocents. Like I said, anyone that really cares about children and their well-being, just give us a call and we will definitely try to work something out.
I wanted to say thank you for coming in. And I know sometimes talking about cyber bullying and things that are going on in the world is kind of taboo to be talking about in a church. But I wanted to say thank you because we're trying to break down doors and we have the same thing in common. We want to edify our families
Yes.
and keep our kids safe. Mind, body, and soul. And I want to say thank you, Ms.
Thank
Gray,
you. Thank
from
you.
the Exploited Children's Helping Organization. And thank you to our AV. And that is it with Michelle Skinner from Kingdom Kids.